Hello and welcome back to Coach Bill's Sports Show. I'm Coach Bill. We do a little bit of college sports here. We do some fantasy football. Started some NCAA football, 14. A little bit of everything when it comes to football is what we try to complete here. So thank you for joining. Let's get down to it. Let's huddle up. Let's go. All right. Today, we're doing my 10 rules for drafting. Everybody's got to have a little bit of stuff to live by. These are my 10. Hopefully, they help you. First things first, never go into a draft without a plan. It's very simple to say, but I can't tell you how many times I've been drafting and looked at the people to my left and looked at the people on my right, and their player gets picked 3 picks before they were going to pick them, and now they have no idea who to pick. You got to have a plan going in. You got to know who you want, who you don't want, and how you rank your players, which leads me into the next one. Build tiers, not rankings. It's very easy to say, I don't know which one I like better. That's cool. Put them in tiers together. For instance, my current tier for wide receivers, I have 5 in my top tier. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, good Lord, now I'm going to forget his name. Devontae Adams and Mike Williams. If I can pick one of those 5 guys, I'm going to pick them because they're my top tier. Yes, there's a little bit of difference on when I could grab one of them, but if one of them's there when I come back around on the second round, you'll be darn sure if I got a tier 1 asset sitting there, I'm going to grab that tier 1 asset, especially in a wide receiver or running back role. So, build your tiers. Don't let anybody else build them for you. Everybody will have their own views on things. It took me a while to really figure out that who I like better and who I don't like better is my rankings and my tiers. So I put everything in tiers, and it's helped me tremendously since then. Number 3, once you've done your research, trust the research. Another very simple rule, very simple to say, but following through is something different. You took the time. You did the mock drafts. You did the analysis. You read the team reports. You've watched YouTube videos like this one. You've done the research for yourself. Then trust your research. I understand Joe Bob in the corner may say that, Cooper Kupp's fallen off. Dalvin Cook isn't going to be what he was. Christian McCaffrey isn't going to be a top 10 running back. Don't listen to the Joe Bobs. Do your research and trust the research. It's as simple as that. Number 4, know your league rules. It's funny to me how many people will draft without knowing what their league is. I had a league 2 years ago. It was a PPR league. And a guy drafted the entire time looking at touchdowns. That's cool. Look at touchdowns. But he missed out on several good players. And ultimately got last in that league because he didn't know that the league was a PPR league. He thought it was standard. I understand standard now is PPR across most people. But know your league rules. for instance, PPR is points per reception. In a league like that, players like Hunter Renfrow is a wonderful example. Hunter Renfrow gains a lot of traction in PPR leagues versus standard leagues. He's not going to be the guy that puts up hundreds of yards and touchdowns every week. But can he get you 6 catches for 60 yards? That's 12 points. That's a solid RB3. It's a solid flex play. That's a wonderful player to have in a PPR league, but not in a standard. Next up, mock draft. You're going to see me doing them here. You need to mock draft. You need to play around. Take some different chances. You know, hey, what does it look like if I draft Dalvin Cook in the first round? What does it look like if I take Justin Jefferson in the first round? Who's sitting there when I come back around? The more practice you have, the more mock drafts you do, the better result you'll get when it becomes real. It's just like playing football. You got to practice before you play. Mock drafting is practice in fantasy football. Take it as such. Prepare like it is a real draft and use it. The more mock drafts you do, the better. It makes you comfortable and adaptable in your drafts, the ones that are important to you. Whether that's a family league, a money league, it doesn't matter. Mock drafts make it easier for you. I don't know how many times I've seen this issue, but know your draft. Know when your draft is and plan accordingly. This year, I have a 10 a.m. draft on a Saturday. You know what I'm not doing the Friday before? Not closing down a bar till 2 a.m. That's for darn sure. I'm not gonna be out partying the night before if I got a draft at 10 a.m. Know when your draft is and plan accordingly. You wouldn't show up to a test in college or high school hungover. Not advocating underage drinking. I know it happens. But you wouldn't show up for a test hungover. You wouldn't show up to a job interview hungover. Know when your draft is and plan accordingly. Number 7, be adaptable to the flow of the draft. This is part of mock drafting. This is part of all the stuff before it. Being adaptable to the flow of the draft means that instead of doing the panic drafting that I see from people who don't have a plan, who don't put their teams in tiers, they'll just go, oh, this guy. If you're adaptable and you see the flow of the draft, you're going to be better suited to draft a better team. And the better team you draft, the better position you're in for the entire season. Yes, there's waiver wires, and yes, there's this and that, but the better you do at drafting, the better your team is set up for success. Number 8, if you want a player, take a player. You've done the research. Trust your research. If there's a guy that your research is telling you is a second rounder and everybody else is saying, oh, he's a 4th rounder at best, take him in the 3rd. You still got value and you're getting him before everybody else does. If you want a player, don't be afraid to take him. With exceptions. Obviously, I'm not saying you should draft your favorite quarterback in round 1. There are very few leagues where that makes a lot of sense. But if you want, let's say you had the first pick overall. You picked Taylor. Boom, you were happy. You came back around, and second round you picked best wide receiver available. Third round comes up, and you're, after all your research, you're high on a player like DeAndre Swift, where a couple other people are fading him. Injury history, not the greatest offense in the world, but you're high on him. There's nothing wrong with taking Swift on the third round when the rest of your league is telling you, oh, he's a fourth rounder. Yeah, he might be a fourth rounder, but is he going to be there when I get back to make this pick? If he's a player you want, doesn't matter. Take that player. You'll be happier you did. And at the end of the day, winning is fun. Don't get me wrong. But if you hate your team, you hate your team. Number 9, avoid the runs and stick to your plan. You came in with a plan. You put your teams in tiers. You've done your research. Now your league mates have gone crazy and decided that they need to draft a kicker in the 10th round. Forget that. Stay away from them. It doesn't matter. Stick with your research. Stick with your plan. And avoid the runs. Even when the quarterback run happens, because it happens. It always happens. One guy gets picked, and then another gets picked, and then everybody starts going, oh, I got to make sure I have my QB1. Avoid it. Teams will pay more for the runs than the teams that don't go on them. While everybody else is picking players that should have been picked 3, 4, even sometimes 5 rounds later than they picked them, you're able to pick solid players to create depth and build a better team. Yes, your friend may get Patrick Mahomes, but he didn't get that wide receiver 2 that he needed, and he ended up with his wide receiver 2 would have been your wide receiver 4. That's a big difference. Big difference in the team that you can build. Number 10, finally, have fun. It's a game. I understand there's winners, there's losers. There's money on the line with some people. But at the end of the day, have fun and enjoy the draft. It's one of the best times of the years. If you do it like I do with a couple of my leagues, we have in-person drafts. It's a lot of fun. We play a little poker to figure out, who gets what draft position. There's games involved with it. There's a lot of camaraderie. It's really fun. My biggest league is the league that drafts at 10 a.m. this year, and it's a bunch of people that have known each other for years. We all served in the military together, and it was just a real blast to be together, have fun, razz each other, talk a little bit of junk, but at the end of the day, it's all in fun. So, there's my 10 rules for drafting. Pretty basic rules, in my opinion. We'll make some more advanced rules here in the coming weeks. But for the basics, 10 rules. And it allows you to go into it with a leg up on the person that doesn't have that. If you go into the draft with a plan, you build tiers, you do your research, you know your league's rules, you've done your mock drafts, you know when your draft is and you draft accordingly, you plan accordingly, you're adaptable, you don't get caught in the runs, you take the players you want and you have fun doing it. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. This is fantasy football. It's meant to be fun. Thank you for watching Coach Bill's Sports Show. Going to be doing some more of this. If you liked what you saw, please like the video, comment down below, subscribe to the channel. Have a wonderful day. Ready, break.